when Ruston Chase and Shea Hope were batting on the second morning of the first cricket test, some very enthusiastic followers of this channel, individuals in the live chat, said that we can break the Australian. I told them then that Australia is never defeated. You just cannot break the Australians. And we saw it. We saw them roar back in fine style. What happened is that after Justin Greaves dropped Travis Head on the third morning, West Indies was broken. Our shoulders dropped. Our IQ went through the window. Our mental toughness and resilience were flattened. And Australia roared on like the champion they are. For 2 days, we were competitive. But as I have always said, we need to train with intensity. And that was the reason why we could not maintain the intensity at a high standard beyond 2 days. I always made the point that Usain Bolt trained for hours to run a 10-second race. West Indies cricketers must understand this, that they must train longer than the time of the match. We are hurting. It was a bitter loss. I was very frustrated. I don't think that Australia should have gotten 300. Yes, there were some drop catches. There were 2 bad umpiring decisions. I don't think the leg before for Chase were bad decisions. I would have given him out also. Nonetheless, Australia should not have gotten 300, and we should have batted better in the second innings. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the review of the first test match between West Indies and Australia. I thank you very much for being here. I look forward to a very energetic session as we do the player ratings, which is in the video description and is pinned to the top of the live chat. Thank you for tuning in to the Caribbean #1 cricket channel. And I want to say that again because I know it offends some persons. I don't know why it should offend them. The facts bear it out. The Caribbean #1 cricket channel. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the show. And joining us for this review is our resident analyst, Basil Butcher Jr. from West Indies Cricket, then and now. Welcome, Basil, to the show.
Good morning, Carlton. Good morning to your viewers. Thank you for having me again.
I appreciate you being here, Basil. I appreciate all of those who are in the live chat and all of you who are watching. We should be joined at some time by Roger Tracy from Massive Hit Cricket TV, who is also the president of the South Florida Cricket Association. He's on the road and he's going to join us from his car sometime later in the show. Welcome you all. Please remember to slash a like on the video. Click on that subscribe button. Basil, I look back at this match and I said it yesterday in the watch along. West Indies simple run out of steam because they do not have the ability to concentrate for a long period. They do not have the fitness to play at a high level for a long period. And their mental weakness was shown after the drop catch by Greaves on the third morning. Basil, your view on what happened in that match?
I agree with all what you said, but I would also add they don't have the skill to compete at a high level for long periods. So all of those were shown. And then against a team like Australia, which is a relentless team, it's a veteran team. These guys have been there, seen everything. Nothing falters them. They will just find a way to win the game. And when you're a team as you described, and what we saw will be inevitable.
Yes. At what I considered the drop catch by Greaves. Mark, there are a number of things that happened before that. Brandon King dropped a number of catches.
Right.
There were 2 umpiring decisions that went against us. The 2 catch, I think that Hope catch the ball. I also think that Carey never took the catch cleanly. However, and I know that many West Indian fans won't agree with me on this one, but if you look back at those two legs, I think the first leg before decision, I think that ball hit pad before bat. And I
I,
also think the second one, the ball hit pad before bat again. But we'll come to that later in the player ratings because I want to look at that in a more detailed position, Basil. But did when Greaves dropped that catch, was it the turning point in this match?
uh, it could have been because with with um, with Mr. Head being such a most important batter for the Australian team, and to drop him at that juncture where the game was somewhat balanced at that time, and to drop him then Australia then went into the ascendancy of the game because he went on to score up 40 more runs, right? And you don't know because him batting also with Webster, that helped Webster in terms of the pressure, because that's the one thing Head is able to do as a batter, to put pressure on the bowling team, right? And you have to be on your P's and Q's with him, or else he's gonna pick you off. So yeah, that was a big moment in the game, but that's where an experienced team, a team that has been there, done that, a team that have the players with the requisite skill would find a way to claw back into the game, which at this moment, the sad reality is West Indies team is not made of that character.
But doesn't it goes back to the point that I always make, Basil, that this team mental resilience is low. This team mental capacity is low, and when that catch dropped, Australia saw it as an opportunity to press gas while West Indies' shoulders drop and our head droop. Don't you see that that's one of the big difference between the two teams, that we need to build up that cognitive resilience?
Yeah, look, Australia is a team, as in an all good. Let's look at it from a team sport perspective. All very good or great teams in team sport. They usually win in the key moments of the game. That's what makes them successful. And what you described is the resiliency part of why they're able to do that, because they're resilient. They don't panic regardless of the situation. And they also, whenever they see an advantage, they're able to capitalize on those advantages. That is something West Indies cricket teams for a few decades now have been unable to do.
Basil, chasing 301 run to win a match. West Indies needed 301.
Mhm.
Is not an easy task in the fourth innings of a test match.
No.
We saw where on that third morning leading through to the post-lunch session that the pitch was probably at its best for batting. In my opinion, it deteriorated sharply after that.
Mhm.
So chasing 301 in no test match on the fourth innings is going to be easy. A number of persons had complained about the shot that John Campbell played.
Mhm.
I recall asking John Campbell about those strokes.
Mhm.
His reply was that I can get out the next ball nonetheless, so why don't play them? My
Interesting.
position is that you are more likely to get out if you are playing an Irish shot. But I didn't bother to follow up not because, and as I said yesterday, God forbid you can go out on the street now and meet in an accident. But you're not going to go out on the street and deliberately walk in a car. So you don't want to do things that enhance that. However, this was Ruston Chase' reply when that question was put to him by one of the persons in the interview room.
John is a guy that plays those shots usually, so I won't be too hard on him. I mean, he even played one in the same innings before and it went for four. So I wouldn't come down too hard on him. He's a guy that likes to play positively, and that's one of his shots. And as I said, I can't come down too hard. It just didn't come off at that point in time.
Your reaction to those comments from the West Indies captain on John Campbell dismissal?
I think the captain doesn't want to throw his player under the bus in a public setting, because part and parcel of playing, game awareness, match situation are all very, very important things to in any team sport, and especially in the situation that we are facing. You have to play as much risk-free cricket as you can possibly can, because as you correctly said, that pitch deteriorated a lot more because now you had more variable bunks on a pitch. When you have more variable bunks on a pitch, you don't go and play such high risk shots, because it's even less the risk is even more, I should say, that when you try a shot like that, because if you can trust the bunks of a pitch, yes, a shot like that is more on. But when you can't trust the bunks, no, you have to play more risk free. And it was also very important for the West Indies, having lost Braffett in the first over, for them to build a partnership, a platform upon which the others coming after them. Now the other thing too, Campbell was in there for a period of time. He had faced a number of balls. That was a pitch, as all the batters said, it was a pitch you had to get in, right? But the getting in part was the challenge. But if you got in, you could have done something. And he was close he was at that point. Why try a shot like that?
Yes. I think the last time we were here, Basil, I made the point that West Indies cricketers seem to adapt things from the opposition, but they don't really adapt the critical thing. Head batting on the second evening was something that John Campbell should have learned from. Head is a far more attacking batsman than John Campbell in a relaxed way. When John Campbell is relaxing, it is attacking, he seems hurried. When
Curry.
Travis Head is
Travis Head.
attacking shots, he doesn't seem hurried. That means he is more adept. He has a better ability of playing attacking shots. If you look at how Travis Head batted on that second afternoon,
yes,
why our batsmen can't look at that and adapt to that and know that this is a graphing situation,
yes,
not a situation that call for extravagance. So I'm always concerned about the things that we as West Indian cricketers seek to adapt. It doesn't appear that we adapt the fundamental things, the essential things. It appears that we continue to adapt the peripheral things, Basil.
Yeah, I said this elsewhere, that this was a pitch where you had to grind. It was a grinded out. It wasn't a pitch to come and bludgeon the ball and play or that audacious shots, etc. And I don't think we have too many players in our lineup that have that grinding stickability. I know Braffett is one, the captain, a former captain, and Chase to a lesser extent, but the rest of them no. And so that was not a requisite for winning formula in those conditions with our batting lineup.
Thank you very much, Basil. Good morning, Stephen Roach, Envoy, our South African friend Lou Prudent, Mr. Casanova. Thank you for being here. And so Mr. Casanova is saying that this loss is worse than Panama beating up on the Reggae Boys. I feel it, Mr. Casanova. I know exactly what you're saying. Good morning, Donald Popo. Thank you for being here. Cricket Studio. Thank you for being here, Sheldon Simit. So we appreciate you all being here. Basil, Ruston Chase also made another comment. I love Raston Chasen. I would like to interview Raston Chasen, man. He talk his mind, but I will come to that one later. But when he was asked about Shamar Joseph's performance in this match, this was his reply to the journalist.
Congratulate Shamar on the game that he had. I mean, every time I call on him to bowl, he was ready and willing. He never was tired. He never shied away from coming and running in and giving his all. I mean, he didn't get the 5 wicket haul in the first innings, but I mean, I was so glad to see him get the 5 wicket in the second innings, and then the innings that he came and played at the end there is just a glimpse of what he can do as a batsman and as a cricketer. He's not just a guy that can only bowl. He likes to work on his batting in nets, and I mean the energy that he brings to cricket around the training, around the guys. He's just a lovely guy to have in the team, and I'm very pleased with the performance that he gave in this game.
What's your thoughts on Shamar's performance in this match? One thing though, you know, Basil, that Shamar is my boy. I was the one who lobbied for him to get in the West Indies team. Nobody can deny that. That was out there before 99% of you knew about him. I lobbied for him to get in the West Indies cricket team. I think his performances in this match was very enlightening, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the 9 wicket haul. I'm happy for that innings that he played at the back end. There's one thing though in the first innings. I think, and this is, let me not say that. I'll say it when I go to the captaincy. So Basil, tell us what you think about Shamar's performances in this match.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was an excellent performance. Of all the bowlers from the West Indies side, he put the pressure on the Australian batters more than anybody else. He troubled the batters more. He created more chances than everybody else. So, in terms of his performance, it was superb, no doubt.
Yeah, thank you very much. I see Sherwin asking which West Indies batsman have the highest batting test average since 2023. Tell us, Sherwin. Good morning to you. Good morning, David Durax. Sammy Brand of cricket they're playing. Urban Thomas, good morning to you, sir. Happy to have you here. Sherwin again saying, Basil, he's saying that is Alec Atane, so I know he's throwing something in the midst there. One of the things why I said that, and before I go to that next clip from the West Indies captain, which is the third one I'm going to play before we go to the player ratings, I just want to encourage you to do your player ratings. That's the best, I think that's the best way to show your reflection of the match. The link is in the video description. It's also in the live chat. Just click on the link. It will open in another window. You can do your player rating while still listening to the show. Although it will open in another window, you can still listen because I hope your device allow you to do that. But please do your player rating. Basil, I'm going to now go to that third clip from the West Indies captain, and this is why I love this captain. He never hold any punches here, Basil. This is what he had to say about the umpiring in the match.
Yeah, on the officiating, I mean, yeah, it's frustrating because as players, when we mess up, when we get out of line, we're penalized harshly. Sometimes we're even banned. It might be in terms of a monetary fine or something, but the officials, nothing ever happens to them. I mean, they just have a wrong decision or questionable decision, and life just goes on. I mean, you're talking about guys' careers. I mean, one bad decision could make or break a guy's career. So I just think that it should be an even playing ground in terms of when players step out of the line, they're penalized. I think that there should be some penalty put in place when you have blatant decisions going against you. And I think it was a big factor in the game because, as I said, you see what batters can do when they get in. And me and Hope were going well, and then we just had some calls that went against us. And I mean, we even had a catch that went against us in the first innings when we were bowling. So you never know what the score could have been.
Basil, the West Indies captain, is firing on all cylinder there, man.
Yeah, I mean, everything he said there makes sense. Can't find no wrong with what he's saying there at all.
Yeah, okay. It's very interesting, because generally you not have a West Indies captain comes out and speak in this way, but on this occasion we have a West
May-
Indies captain.
may-
I would
may-
love to interview Ruston Chase. I think it will be a wonderful show. He will, for want of a better term, he will shoot from the hip, and it will be very
but
interesting.
maybe Cricket West Indies told him if he gets a fine for criticizing the umpire, we'll pay the fine.
Maybe, Basil, maybe because
Maybe they told him there, go ahead, don't worry about it. We're gonna take care of the fine. Because he's gonna be fined because you're not allowed to criticize match officials like that. You're gonna feel the wrath. That is one of the rules.
you may be onto something, Basil, because yesterday I was making the point that Cricket West Indies heavily criticize channel like the Cricket Forum. But yesterday, they love the Cricket Forum because they know that the Cricket Forum can say things that they can't say.
Yes.
So yesterday they love us. And I think that they heard me saying that yesterday. So you are right. They said to Ruston Chase, go here, man, and show the Cricket Forum that we have some balls too. We don't need him. Maybe that's what happened. But it was very refreshing to hear someone speaking like that. And as I said, I'd be very, very happy to interview someone like Ruston Chase because it will really make for an interesting show.
Yeah, I think too. I would say this. I think any test captain who was on the receiving end, like West Indies, with these dubious umpiring decisions, would have said something, particularly coming out on the losing end, would have been in Chase. Some might have been even more fiery. Chase is a laid back guy. So even when he said he didn't come over as combative, but others, depending on the personality, I could imagine a Virat Kohli being on the losing end. With those decisions, you would have seen the steam coming out of Virat Kohli's nose and every orifice.
Yeah, that is true. You can just imagine. Mm-hmm. One of the things, Basil, that was coming out of this test match, and we saw it a lot, is that the dropping of Alec Atanase and Kavim Arj, and persons were thinking that they should have been in the team. I've made the point that both these batsmen are averaging 25, just like anyone else in the team. Darren Sammy must have the luxury, if he want to pluck a player out of obscurity and put him in the team for someone who's averaging 25, that is okay for the coach to. The coach must have the authority to do that, and I'm referring to King here,
Mm-hmm.
So persons will say that King didn't perform all that well in the regional 4-day tournament. But when you're averaging 25, you subject yourself to the whim and fancy of the coach. If you don't want to subject yourself to the whim and fancy of the coach, you need to start average 35 and 40, and then the coach must pick you. So while I can understand persons lamenting about Arjan Alec Atanase not playing, it's really down to the fact that they have not distinguished themselves from among those who are playing.
Look, I have said this going back more than a decade. What you're saying is very fair points. But I've said this going back more than a decade. When they come to West Indian batters, you can't assess them based on average. Where our batting is so ordinary. You gotta judge them based on what have you done for me lately. Because Look, we haven't had a 30-something average batter in a long time. I mean, the former captain is probably the only one, but you go beyond that, it's a lot of 20-something. That's been the situation with West Indies cricket. I mean, Sammy's criticism of how poor a system. Well, I would say, Mr. Sammy, when you were playing, the same thing with the batters. They were averaging. The averaging was way below world standards. So and what has happened in West Indies cricket? West Indies cricket has progressively deteriorated um, along those lines. But see, the thing is though, I agree with you. Yes, the coach and so on. But I think this was my contention in regards to a Kadeem Hodge and an Athens. Both of those guys showed they can make the tough runs in Test cricket. Mr. King has not shown that. So I that was something I found very strange. Even Mr. Carty, well, obviously they give Carty the chance to play because he have the form in the ODI, etc. But he hasn't shown to score the tough runs. Those two guys have shown, and we could point them out.
Yes.
I mean, Hodge and De Silva played a match-winning against the same Australian team in Australia. Look at the last game that Athens played in the second innings. And I often say second innings runs is the toughest runs in Test cricket because you're batting in the worst conditions, if you will, generally, because if the pitch is deteriorating, that is, right? So to score runs in those situations, it calls for that mental, what you're talking about, or that intestinal fortitude to fight, to really fight. And Athens has shown that, although we all know, just like Mr. Campbell with that shot he played, Athens has had a propensity to play some of those injudicious shots at the wrong moments, because he's an aggressive batter. And that's the thing, and he admitted it. I heard him say that he speaks to Brian Lara, and one of the things Lara told him, do not stop being aggressive. You have to find that balance between aggressive and when to hold back. And that's what you were talking about earlier, knowing when to grind. Mr. Head showed that what Lara was talking about. Head realized, Head is a guy we all know is ultra aggressive, but Head realized in this situation, and then with this batting lineup, Australia is not as strong. He has to take less risk for them to put themselves in a good position to win the match.
Okay. So Never Isaac is saying, let's keep it real. Mm-hmm. Now I welcome everyone's opinion. You see, when persons start their opinion
let's keep it real.
Let's keep it real. Like we are not keeping it real, and he's the only one who is real.
Right.
I get sort of hedgy when your opinions are started like that. I think you can express yourself without putting it like that.
Correct.
But the thing about it, here is what he said. With a target of 200 runs, the West Indies would still have LOST. So you see, when you start your sentence with saying, let's keep it real, you must know that it's not LOST that you use there. I'm not going to give you an English class this morning, but you can ask somebody to help you. It should have been LOSS. So when you're going to say, let's keep it real at the beginning, get everything right, because I'm going to come at you in that way.
Yes.
I'm going to come at you in that way. All right?
Cool. I agree.
Yeah. So don't come push up your chest and say, let's keep it real, like we are not real. And then you are going to use LOST instead of LOSS. Don't do that. I will come at you in that way. Right, Harvey Lynch? Yes. Will they change the TV umpire next test match?
Yes.
Basil, we have seen things like these happen where umpires have been sent home. So Raston Chase was not quite accurate, but because we have seen it in the past where umpires have been sent home. He being a South African umpire, do you think that there's some underlining thing there?
No, I know. I don't think so. I have seen third umpires do worse than him, right? And I say to myself, what was the third umpire see? I've seen that on multiple occasions. And one of the things I think that needs investigation. Remember, these games are produced by a West Indies production company that West Indies runs. Now, in terms of the number of cameras, are they using what is the standard minimum or way more than the minimum? Because you would see games in Australia, you would see angles that you would not have been able to see in this match. So that could be a factor in how the third umpire could see and make determinations, etc., etc. Right? So I think that's something worth investigating to find out and so on. But no, the third, well, and obviously that guy is going to be the umpire for the next test, and one of the two umpires that was standing is going to be the third umpire. They're going to rotate throughout the series. But I
Yes.
don't know him being a South African and so on and so forth. I can't be in somebody's mind.
Yes. Well, we have seen in the past where umpires have been sent home. Good morning to you, TV and cricket power play. Somebody making a comment about Shamar Joseph being the fastest bowler in the world. Don't do that, man. That's
Yeah.
a matter of fact. So don't do those things. I won't even reply to you. Randy Beckers is saying that third umpire is beyond incompetent. I am happy Chase spoke about it. It's been happening for years. Well, all right. So thank you.
Uh,
Commenting on the umpiring is fine and should be expected with such decision. I dislike the allusion to match fixing and biases from some fans, though. So that's a fair point there.
yes.
I don't think that Milo. That's a very good point, and I'm glad you brought it up because we here at the Cricket Forum at no point think that this was match fixing. Our conclusion is either being one of three. It happened. I am thinking that it's either incompetence or dishonesty, but at no time I think it's match fixing, Basil. So that was a good point there
Mm-hmm.
from yeah. And I want to big up our friend, our good friend there. What's his name again? Elton Tucker from TV and cricket power play in the United States. John Willoughby saying, I didn't actually see the send off by Seals to Cummins, but did Virat get fined with his earthburst with Australia some contest back then? Can't recall, but Seals plead guilty,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you don't defend something when a man plead guilty.
Yeah, because look, let me remind people, Rabada. You remember Rabada sending off Steve Smith in the series with the sandpaper, and he got the demerit point that would have caused him to be banned for the next test match because he's a repeat offender. They took it to the sports arbitration and they were able to get it reversed. But Rabada has gotten those fines many times. This is nothing new. I can tell you personally, I love when I mean, I think that's part of the theater that we as fans want to enjoy because again, remember, this is entertainment. I think it's a wonderful thing when you point a Martin to Faville like how they used to do back in the day. God fast bowlers used to point men all the time. To the pavilion. And we as fans loved it.
Come forward and look at Basil. Yeah.
Yeah, we as fans loved it, but now today, it's a whole different era. It's just like in sports in America, basketball. If you dunk on a guy and you look at the guy hard, technical foul.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, they're taking some. Remember these. There's emotion in these sports, and
Yes,
sometimes rules just take out the emotion. These guys aren't robots.
and I was happy for that sent off, because I do that too when I'm not being fined because I'm here on a West Indies fan channel. So
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I send them off too. Milo, so he attacks me, So shouldn't I? And when I say he attacks me, it's banter. You have to understand the banter, Milo.
Mhm.
He tries to banter me, and I react. I have to react, Milo. You know, they said, well, the selectors did a swap. They choose better thought of batters who are not good fielders. For batters like Atanes and Aj, who are very good close to the wicket fielders. So you are saying that the selectors, basically what they did is saying that the selectors swap, but he swap for poor fielders. But Milo, you have to understand the banter, and if you come at me, I'm going to go back at you. I have. If you try to nigger me, I have to try find something to nigger you back. And I'm sure Never Isaac knows that that's how the banter is here long enough, and he
Yes,
knows
yes.
that's how the banter
Yes,
is
yes,
on this show.
yes,
I hope you
yes.
have been doing your player rating. Basil, have you been doing your player rating? Hear what Lou Prudence said. Oh, Lou Prudent said, Mr. Brown, lol, 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 lol. I am dying here, lol, lol, lol. Showing your PhD credentials. Basil Selfmore. I don't know what's up. But I did not understand why Atanes and Aj was left out. I think we went
Yeah,
went
yeah, yeah,
through
yeah.
that already. In team construct, there are too many bowlers. Yes, Basil, do you think now? I'm glad that Donald Popper brought up this, because we're going to the player rating after this, Basil. And
Mhm.
I'm handing over to you here now to address this one from Donald Popper. Basically, did we misread it? Well, I must say we, because of course the captain and the coach, it's their responsibility.
Mhm.
Did we misread the pitch? And clearly there was no need for Hatanes in this match. And should we have played Imlak as an extra batter, and then Imlak would have kept wicket and he would have taken that catch much cleaner after it. So did we did the coach what did the algorithm bot, what did the laptop told the coach? Because clearly we misread the pitch with the selection of Warwick.
Yes, I agree with that. Warwick should have never played in this test match, and I don't even think it was a misreading of the pitch. I think it was a boneheaded decision. I'm being very frank, because the pitch, if you remember, during the match against Trinidad, Barbados played early in the first class season, which a pitch with grass and so on. Warkan bowled a one over in that match, right? Now this pitch wasn't too far off of that pitch, except the difference was you didn't get the exaggerated seam movement and so on of the pitch and so on, right? But it was clearly a seam bowler's pitch. Now we can't be like Australia. Nathan Lyon, Nathan Lyon Nathan Lyon is one of the all-time greats. So he can bowl in any situation. Warwick is not that. But you see, we boxed ourselves in by naming Warwick as vice captain, and it would be the egos would be bruised to know the very first game you name a guy as vice captain, you sit him down, and the hue and cries who disagreed with naming him vice captain would get even louder. You would have said, "You see, you didn't listen. You were arrogant and name a guy as vice captain that could cause problems in the selection of the player."
I still believe the rumor, Basil, that Warwick got the highest mark in
Yeah.
the interview. I still believe that rumor.
Yes.
And the only way to appease him was to name him vice captain, because you couldn't just throw him out after he getting the high mark. I know that West Indies officials said that it was not so, that Chase got the highest mark, but our sources are telling us that Warwick
Otherwise,
got the higher mark, and I think that was a compromise to make him vice captain, because they always wanted Chase to be the captain.
yes.
Now, I hope you have been doing your player ratings. I'm going to go to the player ratings now, and I'm going to do mine. I'm going to do mine live, and I know Basil is also going to do his also. So it's going to be very interesting. So I hope you are seeing the player rating on the screen. So the first one, Basil, Craig Brathwaite, as you see there, I gave him a 1. And
So did I. So did I. There's no need to
wait
explain
until I finish, though, Basil, and then you will get your chance to explain. Because I look at Craig Brathwaite, 4 in both innings. You can't give anything more than a 1. Basil, you go ahead, Basil.
No, I agree with you. I said I give him a 1, and I don't need to explain his scores of 4 of 4. He made no impact, absolutely none with the bat, so he has to get the lowest score available.
Come forward a little, Basil.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at John Campbell. That he dropped a catch in the second innings. He wasn't outstanding in the field. John Campbell, I can't give him more than a 1 either.
The reason why I gave Campbell 2 is because Brathwaite was a 1, and I think Campbell had a little more impact with the bat than Brathwaite. Albeit he dropped the catches, but I think he had more impact, so he can't be on the same level. So I gave him a 2.
Okay. Well, for me, he didn't pass the threshold to meet a 2, although
Here, Carlton. If you had a 1.5, I would have given him 1.5. So I given him a 1.5. Here actually reached 2. A 1.5.
You're getting low, Basil. So
a
yes,
1.5. I give him a 1.5.
A
A 1.5.
No, it's either 1 or 2, Basil, because we don't have a 1.5.
I know. I said if you had a 1.5, I would have given him a 1.5 because he already reached 2.
Casey Carty for me, same old Casey Carty, average 17.9 in Test cricket, playing at balls that he should have played at. Get away with it in one day cricket because there is no gully and there's no feelers close to the bat. Trying to drive that ball off the hook that is just peeling off the edge. It doesn't seem that Casey Carty had learned anything to me. I clearly don't think that he should be in this squad. He's in this squad. If he plays the next match, I hope he makes 100. But in my view, he should not have been in the squad. But based on his performance, 1.
I give him a 2 because he had a few runs, but I agree with all your sentiments there. I have said this. I never thought he would be a good Test batsman, but he's gonna have to prove me wrong for all the reasons that you stated. I have said that multiple occasions, and it panned out. We saw it in the game. At times, he doesn't even know where his off stump is, and how you gonna send a batter in Test cricket to be batting at number 3. And lots of times doesn't know where his off stump is, because if you're batting at 3, you're oftentimes virtually an opening batter. So you have to understand where your off stump is. And he nicks off, gets too much. As you correctly said, I said it. ODI, he's gonna look good because you ain't got 3 slips in the gully waiting.
Thank you, Basil. And remember, this player rating that we are doing, you can also do it. It's in the video description. The link is at the top of the video description. Just below the video here, you will see the link. Click on it, and you can also do it. It is also pinned in the live chat. And I know Basil is doing it also, and will submit it shortly. Brandon King dropped 3 catches, got a 1 ball in the second innings, made 20 odd in the first innings. You'd have probably got a 2 if he never got that 1 ball and he never dropped those catches. 1 for Brandon King.
Same here. He got a 1 for me too.
Thank you. And this is Ruston Chase, not as a captain. We'll analyze the captaincy later. This is Ruston Chase as a batter. Made 40 yard and captaincy debut. Looked to stick around in the second innings. I thought that he was out. I've said it. I don't think the umpire made a mistake on that decision. I think when the umpire made a mistake was the earlier leg
the first one.
I thought that ball hit pad before back also.
And there was
wait, Basil, you will get your chance
to
and so I thought both times he was plumb leg before wicket. However, I think he stick around. Now, this is where I said that we do not have the cricketing IQ. On that second occasion, Chase should have gone down to Hope and he should have talked, let the umpire hear, and he should have signaled. Even when he was going for the review immediately, he should do a Joe Root. You saw what Joe Root did? Joe Root make the sign and say, what do the umpire here? Chase should have done that. And he should have been talking to Shea Hope, said, big inside edge. And what do them? That's cricketing IQ. I thought that he was out doing it. But you have to try to put off the umpire. However, all of that being said, I'm giving him a 4. Basil, you're over to you.
I gave him a 5 because that's average. A 5 for him sticking around in that first inning. I thought that was a very important partnership with him and Hope. And like you, I agree. The big mistake the umpire made was the very first LBW show. We saw when the ball passing the passing part, there was a big spike, and Carlos Braffett later gave an explanation as he was told. When he queried, they said because that snake was not in the middle of the snicko thing. They're saying it was in between frames. Well, oh Lord, we saw the ball next to the pad and a big spike, right? So I thought the ball touched the pad, and so he would have been clearly out the very first time. And I think at that time he was on 21 or something like that at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you gave him a 5.
Yeah, I gave him a 5.
Okay. All right, I give him a 4 because a man that doesn't make a half century, I can't give him a 5. You have to make at least an half century to get a 5.
All right.
Is the same thing. I thought that his first innings dismissal again. I can't see how a batsman is well set, and you walk off the field even before the umpire give you out. That bottom edge, you should be saying to your batting partner, and let the umpire hear, and let the third umpire see what you are doing. Said the ball touched ground, and you should be saying it loud enough so that the standing umpire hear. But again, low cricket IQ. There's no mental toughness to stay there and give the impression that the ball hit the ground. Yes, it hit the ground. The umpire should have made the right decision. So I'm not absolving the umpire from his responsibility for making the right decisions. But we know that he's a human being, and the action of the Australians and also the action of Shea Hope to walk off the field before being given out, and also that catch, that again, I think he took it clearly, but his body language then allows the umpire to say that he never take it clearly. He never looked positive. Look at Carey. Carey knew that the ball touched the ground, but look at his reaction. That is what I'm talking about. High IQ. That is what I'm talking about. Mental toughness, cognitive resilience. That is what I'm talking about. Look at Carey, when he took the catch, how he reacted, although the ball touched the ground. And look at how Shea Hope reacted. That's the difference when you hear me say about mental toughness. When you hear me say that our team have low IQ. That's the difference I'm talking about. I cannot give Shea Hope more than a 3. Basil.
I gave Shea Hope 4 for the inning, his first inning batting. I think you're a little bit hard on Hope with the catch. Those catches, having at times we could keep it. Those quote unquote volleys. You're wearing a glove. Even guys with your fingers, sometimes you don't know whether you took the catch cleanly or not, right? So I can't knock him for that. And Curry, that was bang bang. Curry with a sword, he took that catch. So I think you're a little bit hard. I gave him a 4 for that. But also I would say this: I still saw the deficiencies in Hope's technique that were there before, because the ball that he got out is a way he's always been. He's always continues to be very vulnerable the ball cutting back. You saw the jumping up in the air that he's always been doing, like in the past when he was playing Test cricket and so on. Luckily for Shea Hope, which I found perplexing, that the Australians did not employ more short pitch attacking at him while he was batting, when we know his vulnerability there to short pitch bowling. So overall, I gave him a 4.
Yeah, but Basil, I'm not saying that Shea Hope never took the catching up.
Uh-huh.
What I'm saying is that we need to react in a more positive way. It
No,
is
but
just like a, it's just
no,
like
but
a,
I think Hope was being honest. He wasn't sure if he had taken the catch or not. He wasn't.
okay, but again, all right, fine, give him that. But
Yeah.
why I also cannot give him more than 3
Mhm.
is for even for that catch, he went long barrier to catch a ball that is dropping in front of him.
I glad you brought that up, because I went back this morning because I know this would have come up. And I went and because we spoke about this, we say that it was him lucky with taking the catch. Because Hope made the mistake. He should have just dived forward like a regular sip fielder, and he would have taken that ball and there would have been no controversy. But you can't go long barrier where you're expecting a catch, right? Long barrier is when you know the ball bouncing before you, right, where you want to make sure you want to stop the ball from going for buys or something. But when it's a live ball, you got to dive forward for that ball, and he didn't. And that split second of going to making the choice to go long barrier rather than diving forward is what cost him.
Thank you very much, Basil. Let's look at Justin Greaves. For me, Justin Greaves, as usual, pretty run up. He continues 2 wickets in the match, 1 per innings, which is above his average, because in the past year he was 1 per match. So 1 per innings he has doubled his average per match by getting wicket. But ineffective with the ball. Made a 30 yard when the pressure was off yesterday. Greaves would have gotten probably 6 from me if he said to the tail, let us come back tomorrow. We don't know. Rain might fall the next 2 days, and West Indies would have got a draw. If he was showing that sort of leadership, he would have probably got a 6. But for me, Greaves, ineffective with the ball, only made that 30 yard when pressure was off, 3.
I gave Graves a 3 also. At best he was steady. He got a wicket here and there. I guess according to them, his role would be the guy who has to hold. So wickets that you get from him is a bonus. He did that, but the drop catches is what leaves him at 3. And I call the performance with the bat in the second innings, as they using basketball parlance, that was garbage time runs.
Yeah, and these are the things that happen in West Indies cricket a lot, A guy failed and he failed and he failed. And at the back end, he do some things like what Greaves did yesterday, and we think that he should play the next match. We need to get rid of that. Alzarri Joseph, pick for his bowling. Now, in the first innings, in my opinion, in the first innings, and not my opinion, if you look at the match, it bears it out. I think that, who was it? Ed and was it Ed and what's the number 6 name? Brew Webster.
Yeah.
I think that there was a little relaxation there before lunch on the first morning. And after lunch, when Alzarri Joseph came on to bowl. And that spell by Alzarri Joseph sort of spike up the Australian run rate a little. He came back and he bowled fairly well. He got 2 wickets in the match. I can't give Alzarri more than a 3.
My score also, I gave him a 3. Alzarri is supposed to be the spearhead of our attack and continues not to exhibit the spearhead qualities. So I think I would call it a disappointing performance. That's why I gave him a 3.
Jamel Warrican really do nothing in the match. And my biggest debate on Jamel Warrican was whether he was picked as a bowler, he didn't bowl. Should I give him 6, which is average? Because why 6 is average? If the rating was out of 5, 3 would have been average. So being a 10. So my biggest debate was whether to give him 1 or 6. 1 for the fact that he did nothing in the match, but 6 from the fact that he was not allowed to do anything in the match. And I come down on 1. I can't really give a man 6 who never got away.
I would have tell you, Carlton, you would have to take a suspension from the show if you gave him a 6. We would have had to, Mrs. Brown would have had to find a fill-in host.
We'd have to find us. I'd have to report to the psychiatrist.
Yes, a 1. No, work, I can't get nothing better than a 1. No. And you know something?
You're leaning back again, Basil. Come forward again.
I had missed the first Australia batting in the second innings yesterday because I was working, and then I caught from when West Indies started. And so I said, wait, let me go and check to see if Mr. Warwick can bowl. And when I saw that I guess Chase feels sorry and give him an 8 because I think it would look real bad that this guy played as a bowler and never even got an opportunity to bowl. So I saw he bowled 8 overs, which is ironic because he bowled the same amount of overs as Lions bowled in the entire match.
Okay. Thank you very much. Shamar Joseph, what can be said? Wow, I just love the way that Shamar bowled in this match. You can see him. I don't think that Shamar has ever bowled with such enthusiasm, determination, and with such fire in his belly ever before. Not even at 7 wicket in Australia. Yesterday in this match, you could see someone running in. You could see someone hitting the pitch very hard. You see someone bowling like their very existence depend on his performance. And that is what you want to see from a West Indies cricketer. You hope that we will have more of our players being this determined. And when you look at Alzarri Joseph, always serious, always putting in the effort. But what you saw, Jaden Seals always bowling well. What you saw from Shamar Joseph was like a man who has a vengeance to carry out. He was at another level with his determination. I'm not talking about his skill set here. I'm talking about his determination. But yesterday, in this match, he was brilliant. And that innings at the back end, I have to give him, I was thinking about 8.5, but I don't have an 8.5, so I'll give him 9.
I gave him a 9 also because nobody is perfect.
Yeah, he didn't get 20 wickets, so you have to give him a 9.
He got a 9.
Yes.
A 9. I mean, he bowled with the accuracy, and as I said earlier, he more than any of the West Indian bowlers troubled the batters, all the Australian batters. He also created many chances. Several of them went down. He could have got a double figures in wickets had they took his catches, right? So I gave him a 9.
Okay. Jaden Seals continued to show that he has now taken over the mantle as West Indies' #1 fast bowler. Clearly, he has now moved ahead of Alzarri Joseph. And probably even Shamar has moved ahead of Alzarri Joseph too. But Jaden Seals continued to be consistent. He continued to bowl as much as possible. One here is really developing, and I'm giving him an 8.
Mm-hmm. I gave him a 7 because although he took 5 wickets in the first innings, I didn't think he was the Jaden Seals on the full Jaden Seals. He got the 5 wickets, kudos, but I think his rhythm was not what, and I think he also admitted it. He didn't bowl well, although he got the 5 wickets. But I got to give him credit because even when you're not top of your game, you still got 5 wickets. So I gave him a 7.
Okay, thank you, Basil. But just to say that, boy, if he's not bowling well and get 5 wickets, I'll take that every day.
Exactly.
Yes.
That bodes well for West Indies.
Yeah, Rastan Chase captaincy. Well, I look at it, there's not much to really identify that he did wrong. I probably kept the field attacking too long in the second innings. After that drop catch, the players' shoulders droop and their head bow. I think that's where the captain and the wicket keeper needs to come in and lift back that spirit after the drop catch. And also on the first innings, and I know persons will look at this differently, but I'm looking at this as a team's perspective. And I can understand why he did it. But in the broader scheme of things, I think he brought back Shamar Joseph to try and get a fifer. And and I don't think that Joseph would have been tired then because he just came out of the attack. But because he saw that 8 wicket went down, he brought him back to try and get a fifer. I don't think that I necessarily agree with that. I don't think I would have brought back Shamar Joseph then, just for the sake of getting a fifer, being the fact that he had just came out of the spell 2 overs ago when he bowled a 6-over spell. And the captaincy, however, I'll give him average 6. Basil.
Same thing. I gave him a 6. I think one of the areas where I can critique him was when we came back from lunch and he continued to bowl with the other guy rather than bring Shamar Joseph to try and because you know how wickets coming out of breaks, water breaks and so on, you know, you got to restart. Give Shamar Joseph an over or 2 and see if he could have broken that partnership. I think he missed a trick there.
Thank you. And the coach now, I think the team bowled well. The team never fielded well. He misread the pitch. Warwick should not have been selected. I think Imlak should have kept wicket and that controversial drop. Although Imlak could have still dropped it, but Imlak could not have dropped it like that. The ball have gone straight into Imlak gloves and there wouldn't even need to be a television replay. His footworks and his glove works would have got him to that ball easily. The team lose, so I can't give him average 5.
I gave him 4.
You gave him 4. I can understand that. I almost gave him 4 too.
Yeah, I gave him 4 because remember 2 of his selections. Primarily, we should say one of his selections in Mr. King, who he called about special role. That special role did not pan out in this game. So we go in a game by game based on that. So that's why I give him a 4.
So you gave him a 4. You gave him a 4, Basil.
Yes, a 4. Yes.
Okay. So have you submit your form now, Basil? Just click on that submit.
Yes, I have submitted my form.
I've seen a number of persons in the chat. So now we are going to go to.
You will look over the forms and get a poll, so you could have a consensus of the gradings.
No, man, we will do. We are going to that form, or we are just being joined here by Roger Tracy. So Roger Tracy, you are late, but we'll give you 2 minutes to tell us your overview of the match, because we are about to close now. We're just gonna look at the final result of the poll. So tell us what your overview of the match, and tell us. I know you want to. I'm sure you're gonna mention your boy Hope performance. Go ahead and tell us the interview of the match.
Morning, Carlton. Morning, Basil, and all the viewers. Look, if the West Indies run out of gas, I think that's the general consensus here. I think if before the game we were told that the West Indies team were gonna go toe-to-toe with Australia for the majority of this game, perhaps win more sessions on Australia on day 1 and day 2, and then run out of gas eventually, we'd probably take that, because most of us did not expect the West Indies to win this game or win this series. We're hoping that we can win 1 game against Australia. I think we have shown that, 1, we can take 20 wickets. We did stay toe-to-toe. But the reason why we're ranked number 9th in the world and Australia are ranked number 10 in the world is because Test cricket is tough. You have to do the same things over and over, the same boring things over and over, and your attention span, your attention to detail has to you have to do it for a very, very long period. And the Australians outlasted us. So I think all in all, I think the West Indies were creditable for most of the game. I think we have to accept where we are and realize that we need to improve incrementally over time. Our catching, obviously, was very, very poor. Definitely let us down. I think that's an area that the West Indies and Darren Summer are going to have to do a lot of work on. I'm not sure if a lot of these guys in those catching positions are naturally talented, sort of close-in fielders. So it's going to require a lot of work to really get these guys up to speed. Bowling-wise, we did very well. On Jamel Warrican and his selection, look, I think it was a good cricket pitch. It had something for the fast bowlers right throughout. If you can bat, you can make runs. A number of guys got runs. 3 Australians got 50s. Shea Hope got 48. Chase, Brandon King, all these guys looked fairly good in the first innings. Spinners normally come into play on day 4 and 5. This match ended on the 3rd day, so I'm not sure if it would have had a bit more for a spinner on day 4 and 5. So I wouldn't necessarily say the West Indies should not have played a spinner. Obviously, Warrican didn't bowl much, so it's going to look that way. But again, the game ended early, and we see that he's a bowler who's effective in conditions, those dust bowl conditions where bowling a slower pace was better. So I'm not necessarily sure if he's going to be the same bowler in this series that he was in Pakistan. But again, all in all, I think we are encouraged by what we saw from the boys. With the new sort of white ball players coming in, again saw some encouragement in the first innings. The former captain, I for one think he looks a little bit lost. I'm hoping that he can do something in the next game. Otherwise, it could be curtains for him.
Thank you very much, Raja. Raja, they are mentioning white ball players, and yesterday we had a discussion and he said that he wasn't necessarily classifying them as white ball players, but he come here now talking about white ball players. But that is for another another time. So we are now going to go to the response from the player ratings, so we can see what the respondents were. So this is the response. Just give me a minute here and let me get this up properly so that everyone can see what the response were. So there you have it. And what we generally do is, because we know that some persons, because what we have seen in the past from the player rating, somebody like from Barbados, although Brathwaite on the score 4, we'll give him 10. So what we have done with our responses is that the number that the majority of person voted on, we use that as the overall rating for the person. So we do, although the average say 1.27, we go with 1 because majority of the respondent voted with 1. So 16 persons responded and majority of them voted with 1. We saw we are here now 6 for 1 and 6 for 2. So Basil, you said John Campbell got a 1.5. So maybe yes 1.5. So it's good. It's good 1.5. For Casey Carty, it's the same thing, 1.5. 6 persons gave him 6 person gave him 1. 6 person gave him 2. 1.5 for Casey Carty. So here again, I gave him a 1. Same for Brandon King, 1.5. I gave him a 1. For Ruston Chase, 5. Majority of the person gave him a 4. So Ruston Chase got a 4. So 3.80 is his average. But again, because most person gave him 4, then we'll give him. Is it 4? Yes, most person gave him 4. What do you think about those ratings for the top 5 thus far, Basil?
Yeah, I think those ratings are in accordance.
Those ratings are in accordance.
Yes.
So Shea Hope, you remember that most persons gave him 4. Raja, his average is 3.67, but we'll top it up to 4 because majority of persons gave him 4. What do you think about Shea Hope getting 4 for this match? Oh, Raja's left us.
Has he?
Raja. Oh, Raja's left us. Okay, so
Oh, sorry,
Raja's
sorry, sorry. I was muted. Can you hear me?
yes.
All right. No, I think 4 is a fair rating for Shea Hope across both innings. The first innings, obviously, he did well on a pitch that was difficult, showed a lot of composure, but obviously got out early second inning. So overall, I think 4 is a fair rating.
Okay, so for Justin Greaves, majority of the respondent gave him 3. Again, I think that's just about par. Alzara Joseph, 3 for Alzara Joseph. His average is 3. Majority of the respondent gave him 3. So this one was spot on. So interestingly though, I am happy. You know what I'm happy about here? Nobody gave Alzara Joseph 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it shows now that we are really better, because I recall earlier persons were just voting because of country. And if you look at this, Justin Greaves, somebody gave him 7. There's no way Justin Greaves would have gotten 7. That's why we go with the score that majority of persons said that he got. When we look at Jamel Warrican, majority of the persons gave him 1. Agree with that, Roger? I know Basil agree with that. Do you agree with that? Basil, we see here where somebody gave Jamel Warrican 5. What do you think?
that person must be a Jamal Warrican fan.
Yes. Interestingly, persons gave Shamar Joseph 6. You can imagine one person gave him 6. I think that person is surely there must be an issue there why he gave him 6. And majority of the persons gave him 9. So I think Shamar Joseph 9. Jaden Seals, majority of them gave him 8. I gave him 8 also. For Chase as a captain, majority gave him 5. So Chase score was 5. Sammy as the coach, 4. Majority gave him 4. So that's the player ratings for this match. I thank you for participating. Basil, let's now look at what you think that will happen. Roger, what's your thoughts on the player ratings? How do you see it?
I think overall, fairly, sort of fair grading for the players. I don't think anything there. You mentioned Jamel Warrican earlier. He obviously didn't have an opportunity to really make an impact in the game. The game didn't go into the 4th and 5th day. So obviously I won. I think it's fair. I think overall, the ratings pretty fair in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Now, just let's take a few chats and hear what they have to say. Catching seems to be a worldwide problem, but it's worse for the West Indies, because if we look, there was a chart on the screen showing that I think we were way down the bottom when it comes to dropping catches close to the bat, especially in the slip. Who is the fielding coach? Ryan Griffiths from...
Rayon Griffith.
I won't say where he's from. If you don't know where he's from, keep it.
Guyana.
No, Basil, why you do that? Because we are trying to create a West Indies vibes here. But from the time you say Guyana, persons are going to... That will make persons now rate him differently. They won't give an objective view. So if you know that he's from Guyana, fine. But we on this channel is something that I'm consciously doing.
Well,
if you don't know where the person is from, I'm not going to call the name, because I'm not going to call their country, because I want you to see them as West Indians.
I don't, and I'm just to say this, it's immaterial as to where he's from, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, and that's why we don't call the name. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know.
It's based on the competency of the player or coach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not Ryan Griffith's fault, really.
Pardon me?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's Ryan Griffith's fault. I mean, this slip cordon is a brand new slip cordon, right? I mean, these are all new players coming in for the most part. And again, they're not the most talented close-in catchers. So they're going to need a lot of work. It's not if Ryan Griffith had these guys for the last year or two, then I would be looking at him. But, John, all of these guys are just coming into the team. Carty, who's the other one that was dropping catches? King, fairly new guys in the test team. Obviously, our slip carding has really changed, since the last series where we had Athanaze and Hodge and those guys. So it's a different card, and he's gonna have to do a lot of work with these guys.
Raja, it may not be his fault, but it's his responsibility. And I take the point that you're saying that in a year times, these guys will be catching better, but it's his responsibility. Because I've said it many times, if it's not his responsibility, we don't need a feeding coach.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say,
It's
let me just add to what Sir Carlton said. Griffith worked with all of these players because he's the fielding coach across formats, so you can't make the excuse.
yeah, and yes, it's his responsibility. If it's not his responsibility, we don't need him. Yeah. The former captain was at sea, said Andre Holmes, and Sheldon Smith is saying that. Do you think Sam is putting extra pressure on Brathwaite? Let's hear what you have to say, Basil.
Look, Brathwaite still continues to be in a funk. He's been in a funk for a while. Look, you remember he made a double century in the first class season, the first game. He didn't really do anything after that. So the guy is in a funk. And hopefully he can get out of that funk in Grenada where I think the conditions will be more batting friendly. So Carlton, I gotta leave in about 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So we're gonna do quickly. There's a number of comments. So thank you, Basil. Quickly, Basil. Any change for the second test match?
No, I play the same team. Grenada is a flatter wicket, so I think Warrican can come into the game more there, and I think the batters will have a better chance in Grenada in terms of batting. So yeah, I keep the same team. I mean, we know the big question mark over a certain person. So that certain person, from my view, should not be in the team going forward.
Raja, do you play the same team?
Well, unless there are any forced changes, I would, as Basil mentioned, go with the same team. With the issue Basil mentioned, we don't really have enough information to really speak on that, at this point. So we have to see what the authorities come up with. I wouldn't comment on that publicly without having more information. So let's see what they come up with, and they'll make the right, decisions, whether or not there'll be any forced changes or not. But if no forced changes, I would have the same team as well.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. For me, I am making 2 changes I'm making. But one I can tell you, I will play Imlach for Greaves and give Imlach the gloves. And also, with the issues that is out there, and the Cricket Forum official position, we are not going to address it. And up to yesterday, I got a message from an individual who wants to come on the show. And this individual I've mentioned something similar along that line now for more than a year, and Basil, you know about it. But the Cricket Forum official position, we are not going to discuss it. But our recommendation here is that the players should be asked to go and clear his name. That is our official position. His place in the West Indies team is always there. But as an entity, as the West Indies, and this thing has taken on an international flavor now, And although we are not calling the name is out there, and we know that you have some gender activists, some powerful gender activists, and I don't want them to know coming at West Indies, Cricket West Indies. So I would say to that individual, clear your name and come back, and your place is here. That's what I would say to that individual. And that's the Cricket Forum position. Thank you all, gentlemen, for tuning in. Roger, late. We could have gone on a little, but Basil, you have to go. Thank you all for participating in the chat, and all of you who have responded to the players rating. Take care of yourself, everyone. Take care of your loved ones. Bye. See you tomorrow morning with the countdown.